All right, welcome to another edition of Powerhouse Conversations. I'm your host, Fred Underwood, and we are with Dream Big Sports. And this is Powerhouse Conversations, where we have dope conversations that dive into the intersection of sports, business, and tech. And today we have U Hall with us from Georgia Southern. Definitely going to be a great episode. U Hall is the Director of Player and Recruiting Relations at Georgia Southern University. He is a AFCA 30 under 30 participant. He also has participated in the NCAA Coaches Academy twice, 18 and 2023. He has experience in the NCAA, NFL, and in various coaching roles. So we have a lot of information that we're going to be able to pull and gather from you all. How you doing today?
Man, I'm good, man. I appreciate you having me on. Thank you so much. Look
No, I
forward to our
appreciate.
conversation.
Yeah, like I appreciate you coming on. We definitely want to have a very dope conversation that we can that a lot of people aren't going to dive into, and you can speak from a unique perspective in at pros and the college level. But then also we want to dive into what your position is right now, and I think that is going to give us a very good perspective of what's going on in this college landscape, which right now, in my opinion, is just the wild wild west. So
Yes.
I know you're in the thick of things, and I definitely am excited about learning a little bit about what you do and kind of how you do it. So just give us a little bit about your journey. Like tell the people about from how you got into where you are now.
Man, it's been a very interesting journey. So I graduated from Shaw University. Shout out to HBCU. Graduated in 2011. Like a few student athletes, I had no clue what I was going to do, man. I had been a newspaper editor in college. I had been a SAC president, which is a student athlete advisory committee. And I still didn't know what I wanted to do, man. I had some internships set up. I'd interned at NBC, BRAL, which is a CBS affiliate, and I still was not sure. I'm like, am I going to go the journalism route, be a sports or political journalist? What am I going to do? I want to coach football. Um, so I am a dream big person. I really am. So in my mind, at 22, 23 years old, I'm like, all right, I want to coach ball. I'm gonna do it at the highest level, and it ain't gonna take me long to get there. And I got the support of a mother and some colleagues that knew me in Atlanta, which is where I went after I left North Carolina when I was at Shaw. And they were like, "Yeah, man, you can do it." Me thinking that it's gonna be an easy road,
Yeah.
I got this, and they just like, "Yeah, okay." I got a job at Woodward Academy,
Okay.
which is in Atlanta. The
Familiar.
prestigious Woodward Academy,
Yeah.
where all the celebrities, kids, and stuff go in College Park, Georgia.
Looks like a college campus.
It does, and it's extremely expensive. Coaching eighth grade football. The head coach, you have no coaching experience, but you have playing experience. You obviously
Yeah.
know ball talking to you.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna put you in charge of my eighth grade team. I said, all right, I'll take the challenge. We went undefeated, man. And I, not to boast about myself, but we went undefeated. Like that was, you know, that was my first coaching job per se. And at the end of that season, because eighth graders don't play nothing but about 8 games,
Right.
he asked me to stay on to help out the varsity program as they prepare for a playoff run. The playoff run ended, and I just told him, I said, "Hey, I want the opportunity to coach varsity football. I don't want to be stuck coaching eighth grade."
Mm-hmm.
His exact words, he set me down. He said, "Look, you got a ton of potential. Obviously, well spoken. You know ball. Continue to learn." I had locks at the time.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "I'm gonna be real with you." There's a white man talking to a black man. He said, "Look,
Okay.
cut your hair." And
Wow.
I'm looking at it like, what does my hair have to do? He said,
All right.
"I don't have a problem with your hair. I hired you with your hair, but there's a lot of old guys who have
Yeah.
hiring power in this business.
Right.
We're gonna look at a young black man with long hair
Mm-hmm.
and immediately have the wrong type of thoughts simply because
Right.
you're here. And I don't want your dreads or your locks to prevent you from being able to get in the door."
Right.
So it took me a few months to really hear what he was saying.
Mm-hmm.
I was really on the cusp of, should I be insulted right now,
Right. Right.
or
Right.
or is he really trying to
It
school
helped.
me
Yeah.
on how this is? So I cut my hair. And I got a job offer at Centennial High School in Atlanta. And that was my first full-time varsity coaching job. And if anyone knows anything about football and high school football in Georgia,
Mm-hmm.
might as well be coaching college football because
Right.
it's a religion down here.
Right.
Had some success there. I left to go be a special teams coordinator, the defensive line coach at Decatur High School, and
Mm-hmm.
was there for 2 years. I got accepted to the 30 under 30 program that you spoke about, the AFCA. It was funny. I was riding home on MARTA, and I was like, man, I'm going to apply for this program.
Mm-hmm.
In my mind, this just shows you just where I was and the growth and the maturation process for me as a young coach. I was like, man, I ain't going to get this. This for college coaches. Man, I got accepted. Like I was
Right.
on the bus doing the shouting dance like, Lord, wow, I got
Right. Right.
through it. Still a high school ball coach. Went and just had an unbelievable experience learning, being put in the same room as guys like you might not remember Ron Zook. Like it was guys like that was one
Yeah.
of the guys that I got a chance to work
Right.
with. Bryles, Mac Bryant,
Right.
Joe
Yeah.
Taylor, like those
Yeah.
types of guys.
Yeah.
And it kind of elevated me. And I came back to Decatur for another season. You know, I was promoted to defensive coordinator. And then I got my first college job after that in Ohio Wesleyan, which is, I'm from Ohio originally. So it was like
Okay.
going back home. And I was at Ohio Wesleyan for 3 years. I left there. I went to Trinity International in the Chicago area. Then I ended up at
Mm-hmm.
Briarcliff in Iowa, and Alderson Broadus and John Carroll
Right.
and the Washington Commanders as a Bill Walsh guy, and then Oberlin College, and then now. So
Gotcha.
it has been a journey. I have networked with quite a few people, got some
Mm-hmm.
leagues, and made some friends along the way. Man, it's been a very interesting journey. It's been
No, I
very.
love it. I love it. I love it. What do you think you took early on in your career? Like, what was the most important thing you took that you keep with you now?
Developing the relationships, not only with the people who have the ability to hire you, but the people who you could one day end up hiring.
Right.
Also with the players. I still talk to players. It was funny. There were a few players that I ran into who were in camp when I got a chance to do Bill Walsh last year in
Mm-hmm.
Washington that I knew from Georgia high school ranks. By that time, they, were in the NFL or on their way
Mm-hmm.
to the NFL, because it's, it just happens. That's how it works.
Right.
It was an amazing experience, man. I kind of feel like it was a reminder to not take the opportunity to meet and greet and talk to people for granted because you just never know when that person may come back up or when an
Mm-hmm.
opportunity from a past relationship that you have, as colleague that you have, may come back up. You just never know. I ended up getting this job that I'm currently in from a relationship that's been 10 years in the making.
Yeah.
So it's funny how it works out.
Yeah. So I mean, talk about that. Like I know a lot of people like to network up, but right, networking across is probably just as important.
It is very important, man. And networking up is important as well. You just remind people you never know who may be the next big thing or the next big person or who may have the next big opportunity. And it's not just for your own selfish reasons of networking, but just be good to people in general.
Yes.
Just be good to people in general, just because you just never know. You might give $1 to the man on the street who doesn't have anything, and next thing you know, that man is bringing you in for a meeting because I know you never know
Exactly.
how life works out. And it's really kind of a reminder to no matter who you are, where you are, what you're doing, to always be kind, always be respectful. Yeah, just be a good person, man. I like to
As simple
believe
as that.
I like to believe that striving to be the best person I could be has really helped me along the way. So
I love it. I love it. Now let's dive into your current role, right? Tell me a little bit about it, and then give me what it is you do to impact the kids.
so I'm like a coach. My background is in coaching, as I just explained. So I'm technically in an off the field recruiting role. I'm a coach off the field instead of actually coaching them on the field. I deal with so what I do every day when we have practice, I go to practice, I watch, I observe, I understand scheme very well, can teach scheme, all of that. But I'm not watching that. I'm watching players' body language. I'm watching their communication style. I'm watching how players and coaches interact with each other. I'm watching to see, okay, this particular student athlete, he doesn't look like himself today. Let me see what's going on. So my job per se as the director of player and recruiting relations is the details of what is going through the mind of a player and how is it affecting his performance. I'm not a psychiatrist. We have a
Hey.
team psychiatrist. I have to make that clear.
Yeah.
That's not particularly what I do. I'm more like, hey, so and so, you had a rough practice today. You good, bro? Everything all right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Were you understanding, what coach was implementing schematically? If you weren't understanding and you need help conveying that, hey, let's go to coach together and I can help you convey that so we can get you where you need to be.
Right.
Those types of things. Or if you just need someone to talk to about anything. And as far as the recruiting aspect, because I did say recruiting relations, it's similar things. So, I do quite a bit of evaluating talent that we're bringing in to our program. And so in evaluating, kind of getting to know the prospective student athlete. Is
Mm-hmm.
he a fit for what we want in this program? What do his grades look like? Excuse me. How is he academically? How is he
Mm-hmm.
social? How are the parents?
Right.
What are his aspirations after ball, and how can I
Right.
help get him to that point? And then, again, evaluating the film. Can he run all that good stuff? I'm not the only
Right.
one,
Right.
but we have guys who do that. I evaluate, the person in totality instead of just what he does on the field. And then retention is a big thing. When you develop the relationships with the players currently on the team, I like to think just having a coach who is specifically there for you on a personal level helps with retention, helps keep guys out of the transfer portal, help guys understand, hey, you may not be starting now or you may be redshirting now. This is
Yeah.
our plan for you. So,
Yeah.
I work hand in hand with the position coaches doing those types of things. So it's a task. And, sometimes I will say that because you kind of put yourself in a place where you're taking on so many of the players' issues and problems that at times it's draining. It can
Yeah.
be like some days it's like, all right, I'm tired, but I really do enjoy doing it because I really just I enjoy helping develop the young men. That's really why I
Yeah.
got into it.
Yeah.
I believe that is my calling. Football is just a vehicle. I can be
Yeah.
doing anything. So I really do enjoy doing it.
No, I mean you wear a lot of hats, right? Like you wear a lot of hats, but it all goes together and kind of intertwines. And I think that it's very important that like you said, think the athletes have someone that they can go to and they can come to. And if they feel like they have somebody that's in their corner, like you said, you are very responsible for keeping the glue, the fabric of the team together. Because before they enter the transfer portal or before they decide to do whatever, they probably have spoken to you first. They probably have built something like it's something that you're going to catch the signs that, hey, oh, this guy's not happy. Like you're gonna see it before it happens, and that's something that you can you're able to have that impact on the kids because you can sway not necessarily sway them, but you can kind of talk to them about some of the issues that they have going on because it may not even be on the field, it may be they're homesick or something of that nature. Like so, it's just all these different things that you're able to impact them in different ways. So I like it.
Absolutely, man. And that's exactly what you just explained. I had a meeting today. But anyway, we can keep going.
No, no. So dive a little bit deeper into like how do you go about building those relationships? Like what do you feel like is important, and what is some of the things that these athletes are going through nowadays?
So for me, it's with them, I think the best way to build a relationship just as a man with another man is to be as transparent as possible, especially as an older man dealing with a young 18 to 23-year-old is a lot of, men, we suffer in silence and
Yep.
we don't necessarily learn that at an older age, but we learn that at a younger age.
Right.
So understanding what it's like to be in the shoes of an 18 to 22 or 23-year-old student athlete, that's one. Understanding what it's like to be in the shoes of an 18 to 23-year-old student athlete from a single parent home, you know, in my case, an only child. They're just things that I've experienced that, when you're experiencing them, excuse me,
Right.
it's like, why me, Lord? But it's like, why
Right.
not you? The older you get,
Right.
it's like, see, this is why you, because now
Yep.
you can be a testimony to someone else and help someone else out. So what I try to do is be as transparent as possible while still giving them the privacy that they still desire.
Yep.
I don't try to be their friend. I think a lot of coaches, whether on or off the field, make that mistake. Like, they don't need more friends. They need
Right.
better friends a lot of times,
Right. Right.
but they don't need more friends. They need someone to not just guide them, but
Yep.
show them, this is how you conduct yourself. This is how you handle this situation. This is how you speak when you're in the presence of certain people. This is how you carry yourself. So I try to be not just transparent with the things that I say and do and how I conduct myself, but I try to literally be a billboard for them. And it's a constant reminder. And I think doing it, it's a constant reminder to check yourself. You know what I'm saying? Let's get back in the weight room. Let's work out. Let's be healthy.
Right.
You
Right.
know what I'm saying? All those little things. Let's say the right things. Let's listen to the right things. Let's do things that are conducive to success. You know, let's all of the above. All of the above. Let's have good conversations and laugh, but
Yeah.
let's not gossip, because
Right. Right. Right.
things
Right.
that benefited anybody. It's little things. Young men are very impressionable,
Yeah.
very impressionable. And they'll say,
Yeah.
man, I don't care, but they're watching you.
Right.
Like,
Right.
they are watching you, especially as a man in a leadership position. You are always being watched. As a Black man in this business, in any business,
Right.
I always feel like everything we do is being recorded, taped by somebody, and watched and observed. So
No.
the best way for me to handle that and build those relationships with them is let them just see me and all that I am, everything.
Yeah. No, I think that just as simple as, like you just said, teaching them how to simply be a man. All right. I think that's important, especially like you just said, from a black as when you're leading black young men, that's so important because they don't have a lot of those images and those models that are actually teaching them how to be a man and actually hold themselves accountable as men and see what accountability looks like. And a lot of times they go around and they are dodging accountability. And so when you can balance that line of, showing them how to be a man and be accountable, as well as like, hey, I have your back and I'm going to be right here with you as you as you go through this. And I think that's invaluable. And that's, like you said, you're able to touch their lives, and like you said, everything that you have done, and that you were like, why me, going up to this point. It's like, okay, well, no, you prepared me. Like, he's been preparing you for this, and he's been grooming you because, hey, I have something for you. I have something, someone that I want you to touch. Although all those things are important, and you never know with it while you're going through it, but you're being prepared for something greater than that. I love it.
But 100%, man. Every day is, you find yourself reflecting on something that you experienced every day, some form or fashion.
So I do want to dive into some of these, just questions about like the transfer portal, right? So, like, question that I've seen, around, is the transfer portal empowering the athletes or damaging the team culture? Like, how do you feel like
Oof.
this, like, because it's always going back and forth. Like, what do you feel about that?
That is a loaded question. Yes. So I think, okay, I am on the transfer portal. I understand it. You don't like where you are. You want a fresh start. You want to start over. You feel like you made a mistake coming here.
Hmm.
So you feel like, okay, I should have gone there. To some people, it's a do-over. Um, to a grad student, it's my time, sir. My season here is over. When I
Mm-hmm.
say season, period of time, not necessarily a season per se. I got to be
Yep.
specific. My season here is over. It's time for me to go somewhere else. I have one more year. I can use this said sport to help fund my graduate degree.
Absolutely.
Afford. It's damaging a lot, I think, and I have to say I think, because I
Yes.
don't want anyone to be like, well, he said, no, this is my
Right.
opinion. It's not
Right.
that.
Right.
In my opinion, what's damaging sport culture.
Mm-hmm.
I think is the ability for a kid, a student athlete, to pick up and leave because while I'm not playing, coach is not playing me. I think the person in front of me is not better than me. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to leave and I'm going to
Right.
excel elsewhere. And I say, as respectfully disrespectful as possible, shut the hell up because we get paid to have success.
Mm-hmm.
We are not going to play someone who is not as good as you on the bench. So if you are not starting or you are not playing,
All right.
make no mistake, the person in front of you is better.
Right.
Whether the person in front of you is better mentally or physically,
Mm-hmm.
that person is better.
Right.
And I think a lot of student athletes, instead of working
Mm-hmm.
for it, earning their spot, that's the accountability
Yep.
thing you were just talking about. It's, I want to run away because I want the instant gratification of playing now instead of putting my head down and working hard for the opportunity to play. One of my favorite sayings is fair is a place where you judge pigs.
Yes, sir.
I believe that. Well, it's not fair. Okay, and are you good enough to play? First of all, the answer to that is yes, because if you weren't, we would not have recruited you and you wouldn't be on scholarship in the first place.
Right.
Secondly, are you good enough to play over the person that's in front of you? Well, that's up to you. Are you doing the things to propel you in front of that person? And I think a lot of kids are running away from it.
Yes.
I think a lot of them won't own up to it and admit that because no one wants to look themselves in the mirror and say, I mean, this is going to sound harsh. Hey, I'm a coward. I'm running from this
Yes.
because no one likes that. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That looks ugly. That's not a good look. None of us want to look in the mirror and feel like we're cowards, but that's what it is.
Right.
That
Right.
is what it is. In a lot of cases, they are running away from competition.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I love to compete. I mean, that like, do you really? Because your favorite
Yeah.
athlete, I guarantee you, they do love to compete, which is why you see them on TV because
Mm-hmm.
they have to compete. I had an
Right.
arcade coach in college. One of the things he used to say, and I used to think, why do you keep saying that? You wake up every day and you have to prove yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You wake up every day and you have to prove yourself. There's always someone on your team or on another team that is just as good or better than you that's going after the exact same thing you are going after. Why do you feel entitled
Yes.
to the spot? Why do you feel entitled? Go work for it. You know, go work for it. And I think we've somewhere along the line with all the instant gratification, the transfer portal has contributed to many athletes losing that. And I'm gonna be honest, a lot of coaches too.
Mm.
I think a lot of coaches, we're not gonna keep the coaches out of this. I think the coaches are getting off easy nowadays with their ability to develop
Yes.
talent
That
that
was
they
where I was
have,
going. That's where I was going.
with their ability to develop. And recruiters like, oh, I don't really have to recruit. I can go get a kid in the portal. Ah, we got NIL money now. I can drop them, I can drop them a nice check and we'll get them to come play. You're not developing. Well, you want instant gratification. That falls on some of the administrations, the coaches. We want to win now. We don't want to take the time to build the program, and build the consistency. I hope I'm wrong, but it's like the days of Alabama might be gone. When I say the days of Alabama, how Nick just had that thing rolling for
Yeah.
15, almost 20 years where they're consistently good. And
Well,
I'm sure he didn't do everything the way that everyone thinks it should be done either. But bottom line is Alabama was a stable. I'm
but
saying
even
he's not a stable.
even to that point,
So
yeah, even to that point of like player development, what Nick did was you knew when that crop went out, you had a next crop coming in, and
exactly,
they were developed, and you would see it and even by position, right? Quarterbacks would be a certain way. Wide receivers, you had wide receivers that coming in, their DBs were going to be a certain way, and every year linebackers, and it just kept coming in and coming in, and people were looking at it from the standpoint of, oh well, it's just the talent or the five stars, but they weren't the only ones getting five. Nick wasn't the only one getting 5 stars. Other people were getting 5 stars, but they didn't duplicate the success that he had. So that tells you right there that it's not just about the talent. It's about what you could do, how you can develop that talent when you get them into your ball club.
Exactly. So it's the talent and it's the culture, you know what I'm saying, that you establish. So after a
Yep.
while, it becomes a player-led program. I mean, a lot of people believe that the best programs aren't the coach-led ones, but the player-led ones. You know, you've established a culture where the player can pick up the young student and student athletes say, oh, we don't do it like that. This is how we do it.
Right.
And you just keep it rolling. But we have both student athletes. And again, I include the coaches in on this
Mm-hmm.
because I don't want people to think, oh, here go another coach bashing student athletes. No, I'm not bashing anybody. I'm gonna call it what it is. We
Right.
have student athletes who are often running away from competition.
Yep.
And we also have coaches who are running away from the responsibility of developing players.
Yep.
You don't want to develop anymore. Oh, it's taking too long. Or you telling people, well, this kid can't do that. Teach him.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Coaching is not just a noun, it's a verb.
Right.
Teach him. Coach him. Stop telling me what he can't do and teach him what you need him to do. He obviously has the talent or he wouldn't be here, unless you're
Right.
telling me you're a bad evaluator. So stop telling me
Which
what
is another level of ownership that you like. Did you evaluate him wrong, or you couldn't coach him up to where he needed to be?
right. And everybody doesn't work out. Players sometimes players you need to transfer. Okay, this is not a good fit for me.
Mm-hmm.
Fine, that's okay. We can come to that agreement. But I just think it's too much. It's too much of this kid can't do that going around. Like I don't want to hear that, man.
Yeah.
Teach him, coach him. I'm really funny about that because I
Mm-hmm.
started as a high school coach, and Lord knows that at a high school program you don't always have the elite athlete, but you still have to produce. So you have to teach a not so elite athlete to produce. My first collegiate job was a Division III job. Same deal. And then
Right.
Division II, and then NAIA, you know, and now it's at FBS. And it's the same deal. You don't always have the guy who's definitely going to play on Sundays. We can
Right.
all be great coaches if we got a team full of those. That's the other side of it. You know,
Right.
you give me a team full of NFL players, I'm probably look like the greatest coach in the world. That's the other side to the Nick Saban thing. I know some people would say. And I
Yeah.
understand, but at the same time, he kept the ball rolling over and over. Bama
Right.
was consistently good.
The consistency.
It was the consistency.
What can you do at a
I
consistent level?
I think that's where the transfer portal has hurt or hindered coaches and players in a way, and also ways that it has helped, like we touched on.
Yeah, and so they go hand NIL and the transfer portal. But how do you feel like it's important to balance the pressures of winning games with helping athletes, but they're still trying to build their personal brand and all these other things? Like, what's your thoughts on that?
I'm all for building your personal brand. I think everyone should learn how to do that. We live in a world where your brand is your image. A lot of times
Mm-hmm.
it's your check. It's
Mm-hmm.
how you make your living. It's how you live. It's what provides you the opportunity to, pay your bills. I think we have to find a way to teach student athletes how to build their personal brands while also not abandoning the concept of team,
Yep.
especially when we're talking about what I believe is the ultimate team sport, where one superstar on a football team means absolutely nothing.
Correct.
This is not basketball.
Yeah.
You draft a LeBron James in basketball and you can change a franchise.
Mm-hmm.
You draft a Patrick Mahomes alone, and man, they got a great quarterback, but they can't win no game.
Right.
So it's the ultimate team sport. You have to balance the two. I think one of the things that helps out with that is if everyone operates with a sense of a meritocracy,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
to where you have to consistently earn what it is that you're asking for over and
Mm-hmm.
over. Like I'm going to give you this, but I'm also going to give you a chance to lose it. I think NIL is not a bad thing. I think we have to make sure that it's name, image, and likeness
Mm-hmm.
specifically, and not pay for play, because then
Mm-hmm.
it becomes free agency,
Yep.
and then they are not pros. And when you entertain the thought of it becoming free agency, now you are incorporating so many other variables with, again, 18 to 22 or 23-year-olds.
Yeah.
So now you've got corporations bringing in contracts, right? You bringing in a contract with all these statistical numbers and variables and factors. Truth be told, this young man has a tutor for algebra.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me carry that one.
Right.
Make
Right.
make that
Right.
make that make sense.
Right.
You know, and some people are now getting over on the student athletes. I think, again, it shouldn't be pay for play, but I think it should be, hey, you produce, you brought us this. This is our gift to you. I've always believed that the student athlete should be getting paid for bringing in so much money. Maybe take the money and put it in a trust. This is just my idea that I've always had, and give it to them as an incentive for them to graduate. Hey, you graduate, once you're done here,
Hmm.
graduate, this $500,000 is yours. All right. This is what you use the $500,000 is yours, however much it is.
Right.
You
Right.
know,
Right.
I'm not at the liberty to discuss that, but
Right. Right.
however much it is.
Right. Whatever it is, like if you were able to put it in some type of trust that once they're done, once they fulfilled all their whatever. Because I mean
Yes.
it happens for trust fund kids.
Yeah.
Like
And it's the same thing.
it's not a it's not a new concept. It's not something that you would be doing to to change how things are going. It's a way that it doesn't become a distraction, or
Yeah.
it does, like it's protecting them because they're not being preyed on by certain agents and different corporations and things of that nature, because
And
you go to a school that is not a good fit for you, like you kind of spoke to earlier, and it's just because of that, whatever the money is.
yeah. And I think we have to be, intentional and very specific about it. Name, images, likeness should literally be, hey, this kid is not got about to get suspended for signing autographs. I mean,
Yeah.
the kid has 30 touchdowns this
Yeah.
season. Yes,
Yeah.
people want his autograph,
Right.
and he should be compensated. If someone wants him to sign a bunch of autographs and be compensated for it, he should have
Correct.
that right, and that shouldn't be an
Correct.
issue.
Correct.
But what I'm not a fan of is 18-year-olds who are coming out of high school who really haven't even proven that they can produce yet, asking for wads of money
Yeah.
just to come to school,
Just to come. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
just to come to school. Like that, you tell me any job where you get paid before you actually show that you can produce. As a coach, whether it's a big time coach or not, you are paid based on your history of producing when you get your new job, producing at
Yep.
that level. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
Right. 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 Right.
I think we have to be careful. I think NIL has turned from sensible
Mm-hmm.
and fair to teetering on the line of, I'm not even gonna say teetering, to just downright greedy at this point. Greed, and it goes back to that instant gratification thing. I want it now. I want it now. So
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting conversation, because on one side I can see from the business perspective of, okay, I have this level of cachet, I have this level of following, I have this level of brand that I'm coming in with. I think it would be different if they can actually articulate what the value that they bring to the school, and
exactly.
they knew what that is. If I could, but like you said, hey, you have a tutor. Like if you're not able to really understand like the value that you're bringing, then you're just running around asking for the higher whoever that, because it comes pay for play, because they're not really they're not really paying you fair value for what you may potentially be bringing in, if you are that level player, right? Of you, like, you are going to fill the seats because of this, but no, you are actually trying to get paid for your play, not necessarily what value you're going to actually bring, because they don't even know what that is. They don't know what their value is. So if there could be, they could be getting gotten over on either side, right? But you're just, hey, what is the highest number that each of these schools are going to give me? And that's where I'm going to go.
So, and I mean, and then that, I mean, I've always had this saying: players commit to coaches, not
Mhm.
schools. Um, I still think that's a a thing. I really do
Mm-hmm.
think it's a thing. But you have to nowadays, and at certain programs, you have to factor in the NIL too. But I do think that there's still a ton of the relationship or the necessity for establishing a relationship in the recruiting aspect. But yeah, like you said, man, it's again, it do I really fully understand what it is that I'm asking for and the ramifications that come with what I'm asking for? And that is the thing that scares me, because there are truly some, and I've met some, I know some, there are truly some young men who are extremely mature and can handle what it is that they're asking for. But those are outliers.
Yeah, yeah.
And one thing I have learned in life is that you don't make decisions based on an outlier.
On the outliers. Yep.
You
And,
don't.
and you bring up a good point, because as a pro, when you get that check, there's consequences to that.
Exactly.
So when you ask as a 18-year-old for that check and you're asking for the highest bidder, are you truly prepared for the consequences? If they're like they've been shielded from those consequences because they're not pros.
Exactly.
But would you be ready for those consequences? Are you ready for that backlash? Are you ready for a coach to be able to actually hold you accountable for, hey, you asked for this check to come here and you are not producing like the player that
Right.
earns this check? And that's a conversation that they're not ready to have,
I
or
mean,
most are not ready to have.
and remember now, this is the coach's livelihood as well.
Yes.
This is the coach's livelihood.
Yeah, because when you're talking about these NILs and you're talking about like collectives and things of that nature, when they have to, I had a podcast about this recently. Like, it's literally coming to the point where they have to allocate money and put together budgets, and like, okay, well, hey, we have X amount of money to put towards a quarterback this recruiting cycle. If I allocated this amount of money to this quarterback, then I need this quarterback to produce because we allocated this amount of money. And again, that's not a conversation. When you start talking about at the pro level, you're talking about free agency, you're talking about cap. So we are literally getting to that point
I
of
mean,
like,
yeah, literally in the pros. I mean, we looking at, like, Daniel Jones was just released from the Giants. I'm not sure of the amount, but they're paying him a
yes,
huge amount of money. He got a huge contract, a year or two ago.
yep,
He is now a backup in Minnesota. He was really,
yep,
and the Giants are still paying him,
yep.
but it's setting their franchise back from being able
That
to build it going forward.
mm-hmm.
You know, it hurt them in the long run, but the issue is not necessarily the money. The
Mm-hmm.
issue is that they didn't get the production for the money that
Correct.
they paid. Now they're in a bind because they're out of the money and no production.
And we're going to see that in college
And
football.
that's my fear, is that's coming. That's coming.
It's definitely coming. Think about Michigan Dave Portner.
Mm-hmm.
He said that he literally is going to pay for the best quarterback out of the portal every year. He said he has, I forgot it was like $1 million, or I forgot what the number was.
However much
It was something crazy that he said he has it for the Michigan football team every single year, that he's willing to put towards a quarterback every year, which from a business perspective, if you want your team to win, that's kind of smart. But what are the ramifications for that?
What it is I'm expecting you to produce.
Yes.
I am paying you like a superstar. I
Yep.
need a superstar performance.
That is a lot of pressure for an
And that is
18, 19,
that is
20-year-old.
a ton of pressure for someone who has a hard time getting up, going to class every day.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that is what it is.
Yes.
That is what it is. The bottom line is you are still a child. And
Yes. Yes. Yes.
so it's
Yes.
like you teeter that line as a coach. It's like you have to understand that this is still a young man learning to be a man while
Right.
getting paid like an experienced
Right.
man.
Right.
So
Right.
you
Right.
have to, man, woe unto the person who doesn't know how to, to have a sense of balance in handling a particular student athlete in that situation.
Yeah. No, I love
And
it.
that's just what I fear with this whole NIL
Yeah.
importance thing.
And so that leads me to the final piece of the conversation that I want to have today, and that's the transferable skills, right? So talk to me a little bit about some of those skills outside of like being on the playing field. Like, what are some of those skills that you think are going to be valuable that they need to be taking on with them right now?
Well, we talked about the networking and the ability to just create dialogue with other people, just have conversations. I think the thing about athletes that makes them so attractive to corporations or to businesses is, in a general sense, athletes know how to work.
Mm-hmm.
In a general sense, athletes know how to get up. They know how to be on time. A lot of times they know how to be there earlier than everybody else because a lot of times it's demanded that they do these things. They know how to fight. And when I say
Mm-hmm.
fight, I don't mean literally throw hands. I'm
Right.
talking about fight as in, okay, this is hard. Let me pack it up and go home. As much as we sit here and we talk about kids running away from things,
Mm-hmm.
there's still a great deal of student athletes who don't do that.
Right.
So as a whole, that makes them, I think, more attractive to businesses.
Yep.
Athletes know how to, many times, to set aside their own desires and have the discipline to stay within a team to achieve a goal. And again,
Mm-hmm.
all of these skills are relative to the person, but
Right.
again, the general sense is what I'm referring to. I remember, I don't know if they still do it, but Enterprise used to make it a big deal to hire NCAA student
Yeah.
athletes because of all of those traits. I thought it was
Right.
a great marketing scheme when they did it a few years ago. Actually have a relative who was a student athlete, and she worked at Enterprise for years, and that was, one of the reasons I remember that so well. But I think just all of those skills that you learn while being a student athlete, you take with you into the workforce or whatever field you're going into. I think discipline is a successful athlete. You find me a successful athlete that doesn't have discipline. Everyone marvels at LeBron James, Michael Jordan, Kobe, whoever you like. Everyone marvels at their athleticism. The older I get, having been an athlete, and sometimes I got these aches and pains places that I never even been injured. It's like, man, where'd that come from? The one thing that you learn to marvel at is the discipline that it takes to keep your body in a specific type of shape. The discipline that it takes to play a game, play an NBA game. And you hear people talk about, man, they played a game and then that person decided after the game to go practice afterwards. They practice, they lift weights, they're eating a certain way. The discipline that it takes to maintain that. And then as we talked about sustainability, consistency, and longevity, this man been doing this since he was 18 years old. He's now
Yes.
40. And people are going to watch this and start laughing because they know I'm not the world's biggest LeBron fan, but I can give credit where credit is due.
Right.
Man has been doing it. And really before he was 18 years old, because he was a middle school and high school star. But at the
Yeah.
professional level, 82 games a year, playoffs, all of the things, Olympics that go along with it, he's still playing at a high level. And that takes discipline. You know what I'm saying? Now he has some advantages financially. I would imagine it's easier to have the best healthcare in the world. You
Absolutely.
know what I'm saying? And the best doctors in the world when you can afford it. Yes. But
Absolutely.
it still takes discipline to get up and do it every day. It takes discipline to learn time management, to be a successful basketball player and still be a dad. I don't know the man personally.
Mhm.
Everyone has their issues, their deals, but the point is I'm here for Bronny. I'm here for
Yeah.
the youngest daughter. I'm here for everybody. I don't know his middle son's name, Bryce. It just takes, I'm using him as an example, but it takes
No.
a certain level of discipline. I think those skills that you learn as an athlete, those help propel you to being successful in whatever field you want to go into, tech, marketing, communicate, whatever field, being a doctor. Discipline is something that's transferable across all platforms. If you have discipline, you have discipline. It's one of those, how you do anything is how you do everything.
How you do?
And we all can benefit from that. We all can benefit from it. So
I love it. I love it. I was going to ask you for some more advice to close out, but I think you hit the nail on the head with that, with the discipline one. So no, I love it. Is there anything else you would want to leave with the people about dreaming big and just anything else?
Just do it, man. Go for it. Not to sound like a Nike ad, but go for it. And you know what? You are enough. That's for everybody. You are enough. You don't need all this stuff that you think you need or that people tell you. You are enough. Just go ahead and do it, man. You are enough. That goes for everybody.
Love it. I love it. Y'all make sure y'all follow you Hall at you Hall the ball.
You haul the ball on IG, Twitter,
Love it.
LinkedIn.
Love it.
Give me up.
All right, y'all make sure y'all like and subscribe to the podcast Powerhouse Conversations, where you can find the intersection between business, sports, and tech. We'll see you all next week. Make sure you'll follow us on all platforms, YouTube, Spotify, and we will see you again. Thanks.